I am a big fan and love this program. So welcome everyone to Thoughts That Byte, our memes educational, a critical thinking look with a philosopher and a monk.
Maybe at this point, some of you might be a little bit puzzled and be like, well, I'm not accustomed to the idea that memes are something other than just these visual things that we find on Facebook. The scientists that study memes say is that once a meme is created, if people like this meme, the meme starts to go through a lot of variations. So these memes, like, we have a sort of template or sort of archetypical structure, and based on that structure we can add some text or we can put some other additional things. And so afterwards, there comes a process of selection, which means that the most successful memes are the ones that in a particular community are shared in order to express certain ideas or convey certain thoughts in general. Education should have as its main goal to provide all sorts of tools so anyone in their particular circumstance, no matter whether that person is working in a forest or living in a desert. So this kind of person can actually use these tools to address the problems that life poses to them. How do you think that iMemes could help foster these skills that we have just discussed about? We have talked about analysis, synthesis, and communication. So let's go back, for instance, to one of our previous memes. We are getting over the pandemic. That says on the news, and then also on the news that climate change is getting worse. And then you can see his face. How do you think that iMemes could actually help us to foster these skills that we have just discussed about?
Well, he looks as though he's created the climate change.
Well, in a way, though, it looks like kind of an ironic smile, like he's a little shocked, maybe.
Yes, like he's a little bit worried, right? Like, I mean, in the first picture, it seems, we could say, evident that, or at least it seems so, that he's happy to read on the news that we are getting over the pandemic. But then his face seems to create this kind of particular smile that kind of leave us with some suspicious about whether he's actually happy or not. Okay, so then once again, how do we think that this meme could actually foster the skills that we have just talked about? So what I have done in this case is, like, I have analyzed the experience that I have had, then I have synthesized in some steps the experience, and I have conveyed the meaning through this iMeme. One of the goals of education is to try to teach students how to synthesize complex ideas, and as we have just seen, through memes, we can somehow reach that goal. And also, it's we could say a democratic way to teach, because people from different backgrounds can be able to create memes. You don't need to have a PhD, you don't need to be an academic.
Thank you, Didi, and thank you, Jesus, for the nice presentation. And I'm really inspired about the project in Peru, about the idea of teaching people how to think. Okay, and I'm happy to be here with all of you. My thing today is I teach yoga, meditation. I also teach something called New Humanism. And talking with Jesus, he suggested, Dada, use memes to teach some concepts of New Humanism. I said, oh, sure. And Jesus introduced me to a tool in the internet that you can easily create some memes. So let me see what came out and how you like it. So New Humanism, what is about? It's about the way we look at people, at other beings, at the world, and also the way we take decisions. About taking decisions, so I made this meme. You can see what to do. So use rationality, use sentiment. And going further, looking at this, do we use rationality or do we use sentiment? I thought that at present, the situation is a bit like that. We, or most people, use sentiment a lot and rationality a little bit, even though sometimes we think, no, we are being rational. But if we really analyze, like we were talking a few minutes ago, we may notice that sentiment is dominating. So New Humanism is about this, it's about the sentiments, and it's about how we will increase rationality. The rationality needs liberation. Our intellect needs to liberate. And that's the title of the book that introduces New Humanism. It's called The Liberation of Intellect, Neo-Humanism, by P.R. Sarkar. So this, most what I'm presenting is based on this book. So I will introduce the concept of sentiment. So there is one type of sentiment we call geo-sentiment. So I use this meme for this idea of geo-sentiment. So you can see, I love my country. You love other countries also, right? Right? Now here I want to give this idea of geo-sentiment, a sentiment that is confined to one place. In this geo-economic, it's like we direct economic resources to a location. We don't distribute it. So it's so that's what geo-sentiment is, and it's limiting our intellect. We cannot think broadly. And the next, of course, the next is what's the solution for geo-sentiment? That will come in the future. You are invited to future workshops.